Hello, hello, Stephanie Zima here, My Way of Life Coaching. And today I'm going to come to you to talk about why you're hesitating when building your business. Okay. So, there are many of you that are in the online business space, and even those of you that are having a conventional sales job, where you need to reach out, you need to prospect, you need to have conversations. Anyone in sales, any women in sales, men in sales, as a matter of fact, as well. If that is you and you are having some struggles of doing the things that you should be doing, right? Then this episode, this live video is for you, because we're going to dive in a little bit deeper into why exactly that is happening to you and what you can do about it. So do not go away. Let's talk about it for a second. So if you've ever noticed that you know that what you should be doing, but you just cannot make yourself do it. First and foremost, I want to put your mind at ease. This is not because you're lazy. This is not a discipline problem. And it definitely doesn't mean you are not good enough. Okay. There was a time in my journey that I beat myself up so badly, thinking, Stephanie, you are just not good enough. Stephanie, you are just so lazy. And my old rat tail of thoughts and criticism from my childhood just kept flooding back over and over and over. And I wasn't even aware of it. I had no idea that I put myself down so much that I was constantly having a negative self-talk, basically. And I wasn't aware. I was just not aware. But when you have a negative self-talk, it will do something to you. It will put your system in a fight, flight, or freeze response, even though you are not aware of it. And that is where the key is, okay? So many of us are recognizing the symptoms. We are recognizing that there are actions that we should be taking, but we are not taking them. Meaning we should be prospecting every single day, start conversations with people, find new prospects, figure out new contacts, adding them to our lists, right? We know what we should be doing. We should be posting every single day something of some sort, not necessarily always about the company or the offer that you have, but you should be visible online, because if you're never there, then people can't see you and they can't buy from you, right? So we know there are actions that we need to take in forms of lead generation that we then just don't do. Okay. So if that is recognized, the symptoms, when you have the symptoms recognized that you are not doing what you're supposed to do, you may not be aware of what you're telling yourself about the thing. Whi've got to go down deeper, just a little bit more. You got to figure out, first of all, is it lead generation? Which part of lead generation are we having issues with? Are we having issues with being visible? Are we having issues with starting conversations? If we are having problems with starting conversations, why do we have problems? See, everyone that I come across trains very vague, right? I mean, have you've had mentorship before, you have had coaches before, and often they tell you lead generation and prospecting, and they throw in all these big keywords around, but you are the person that sits there and trying to implement what you've learned. And you can't put all these puzzle pieces together because you don't even know what exactly it means to prospect somebody. Am I right? This was me. Like, I remember I went and asked all these questions. I'm like, what exactly do you mean? What exactly should my step be? What should I do? What is the system that I should do? And nobody could really ever give me the answers. And the reason why they can't give you the answers is because each and every one of you is different. Each and every one of you has different ways of doing the thing. Okay, so your way of prospecting and lead generation and posting is likely different than the next person. What works for Sally Sue over here may not be working for Lauren over here, right? It's personal, right? I guess that's the right word. It's personal. And that's why a lot of coaches and mentors that are just teaching systems are not necessarily are able to get their mentees to take the action. Now, I, however, say I want to teach you what works for you. And when we are talking about what works for you, I need you to work with me on getting curious about what's really going on behind the scenes, right? We all want to put up the front and put the filters on and say, hey, we are doing amazing and we're loving all this and this is where we want to go and it's all so great and we are all amazing, right? That is the filter. That is the front. But guys, if you really want to do something, if you really want to walk it free, you cannot just slap those filters on. You've got to take them away and you got to take a look at the shadows, at the things that are not so great, the thoughts that are happening behind the scenes, the things that are happening to you in the awful moments. Okay. One of my mentors back then was saying, this was in the discovery phase of figuring out what is happening. She was like, just pretend that you have a microphone running around and the microphone is recording every single thing that you do throughout the course of the day. And I did that. And I was like, wow, at that time, I was like, wow, 80% of what my microphone would have recorded would have not been what I wanted anyone to see, as a matter of fact. Those were the shadows that we started to uncover. This is where we thought, wait a minute, there's a lot of negative self-talk that is happening behind the scenes that I was not aware of until I literally chose to look at it. What am I even saying to myself? And I tell you, I was the biggest bully ever. I was telling myself all the time how bad I was and how this wasn't good enough and how I never had time and how I blah, 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 blah. And once I recognized this, I then took it a step further. And awareness is one thing, but then I identified the nervous system responses that I was having. And once I realized the nervous system responses, I understood why I wasn't taking action. I understood why I had knowledge, but I could not take it to the next level because I was reacting in survival mode. I was in survival mode. And that is where so many entrepreneurs are struggling, because you try to do what they tell you to do, but your nervous system is unique to you. It is not the same as your coworker over here. It's not the same as your upline over here. Their responses, their systems, their ways of thinking, their feelings, their emotions, they are different than yours. Okay. And that is why it's important that you actually do the work yourself, that you start recognizing, where are my thoughts? Being aware, then identifying, okay, where are my thoughts? How is this showing up for me? What am I doing with this? What does this mean for my business? Or when you talk about prospecting, for example, if you're freezing, if your nervous system is a freeze response, of course you're not going to take the action. You are not going to take the actions. So that means once you are recognizing it, how can you get yourself out of the freeze mode? How can you then figure out triggers beforehand that will make sure that you are not even getting into freeze mode? Because once you're frozen, you're not going to take the action. You're not going to show up. So key here is to overcome and reframe and work with those triggers before they even put you into freeze mode. And that is where the coaching sessions are coming in, really, where you because you can't see your blind spots, right? So this is where you need a coach basically to tell you and show you and help you figure out a DMO, a daily mode of operations that works for you specifically, not for everybody else. And yes, I do train in a group, but the way how I teach in the group is helping every single person to do that work so that they are able to do that alone. Of course, I also offer the one-on-one coaching programs where everybody gets me one-on-one if that's what they want to, but it's a different price. But anyway, even if you choose the group coaching programs, it's something that I teach. I teach you to identify that system step by step by step by step, because you can tell how complex it is to work your puzzle pieces, your systems, your thoughts, your emotions, and how to put it all together into this beautiful purpose, this beautiful strategy move that really combines your life, your health, your personal well-being, your peace, together with your ability to create income, right? And you can see just how important it is. Like, it's not just about fluff. It's not just about your happiness and your peace and your love and acceptance, like when we talk fluff, mindset, emotions. But see, when you are not right, when your foundation is not right, when your mental overload is so big and, you are basically stuck in an action, you are also not taking actions to then build this business. For example, so you are have an understanding what I'm saying. For the longest time, I've had challenges to keep conversations going all the time. Okay. And I'm sure you can probably relate with that, because this is some very common problem that, especially in a cold market, when you're dealing with strangers, keeping track of these conversations and really getting them from A to B is a challenge for many of us, especially those that have not been working in sales for a long time. It is a challenge to get conversations not just started, but also continue following them through all the way to the close. That can be a challenge, and especially when you are the housewife, or when you're working your business in the nooks and crannies of your days, or you're working from home and you're having other kids around, and you have distractions all the time. To really keep going with prospect and having that organization in your business is a challenge for sure. Okay, for many of us women, it is a challenge. Not even to think about emotions, not even to think about nervous system responses, but just alone keeping track of everything is a challenge. Okay, so take that, right? You're working on this challenge. Now, all of a sudden, you're starting to get pressure. You're getting pressure from your boss saying, what's the results this week? You're getting pressure from your upline. How many people have this? You're getting pressure from, let's say you're in network marketing, you're getting pressure from these promotions and contests and stuff that are going to happen. And your brain is going into overload, because you are looking at comparing yourself. Now here could be a trigger. Boom, I'm not good enough. They are so much better. You are in comparison mode. Now you're starting to doubt. You might say, oh my gosh, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe the other person's are so much better. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I'm not meant for this. Do you see how this starts slowly but surely getting your nervous system riled up? And danger, 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 danger. In the back of your mind, it goes. These things, these processes are happening subconsciously in your body. They're happening in there. And now your nervous system is saying, wait a minute, if that is danger, we need to stop this action. What happens? Oh, out of the sudden, this Netflix show is going to be so much better, or the laundry must be done, or the children are being prioritized. Okay. This is a very normal thing that's happening for entrepreneurs. It's not that you're not capable. It's not that you are not able to do this. It is simply a process that happens subconsciously in your brain with all these moving pieces. In coaching, this is where we make sense of it. We are taking down and slicing down everybody, every section of your life. We are looking at your private life, we're looking at your business life, we're looking at the different components. Basically, we're spreading out the puzzle pieces to take a look, where are we at with everything else? What needs are covered, what needs are not covered, where is our organizational level? Like, we are looking at all these different puzzle pieces. And with those puzzle pieces, then we build a strategy where we then say, okay, this is most pressing. Okay, we need to work on this first, and then we need to work on that, and we need to work on that last. That is how this goes. So when I was starting to talk about my example of I kept losing track of these conversations because I was all over the place. I had learned way too much. So I was still stuck at lead generating and building an audience, but I also was learning a bunch of social media strategies, right? So when you then learn these social media strategies, because my brain was always going like, how, why am I not successful? Why am I not making things happening? So I kept looking for more tools, more hacks, more everything else. And what I did is I coped with, oh, I must not be knowing this. But what really was the problem was that I did not allow myself to really focus in on the one thing that I needed to do. And that was building an audience and working on my messaging, working on my words, working on trusting myself that I could do what I needed to do. See what I'm saying? This is where sometimes you have a mentor and that doesn't help, and you have a coach that doesn't help, and then you have an upline and that doesn't help, and you are learning and you're doing this and you're overwhelming yourself with so much different stuff that is also all good stuff, but it's not maybe your very next step. Okay. And that is where alignment really is needed in order to progress, not just in your happiness, not just in your private life and in your business life, but in your personal life. Once I understood that, I started realizing that these conversations were feeling threatened to me, and that I felt like I had to take on way more than I needed to. And trust me, I mean, I don't want to go into detail, but having so many conversations going was so overwhelming to me, because back then when I was a child, or in my family of origin, I was forced for certain relationships to happen. And the connection that my brain had made was, I am not allowed to cut people off. I wasn't allowed to sort my prospects. So see how my brain was saying, oh, no, I cannot start all these conversations because there will be way too many, and I'm already stretched thin with my time as it is. I can't possibly take them all on. And it would be really rude of me to say, no, thank you, you're not a good fit for what I want to offer you, right? That was my thought process that was happening subconsciously. So because my body was perceiving this as a threat, I would procrastinate on my reach outs, or I would always get myself distracted. So long story short, this is where you could possibly benefit from coaching, by having someone that can really guide you through these very confusing, like Brene Brown says, the swampland of your soul, right? I mean, it's like going down there and really kind of figuring out what is even happening here in our shadows, in our secret soul life, so to speak. We're not going to hang out there. So don't worry. We're not going to be making a bunch of excuses for our inactions. Definitely not. We're going to go in there and we're going to take a look around, and we're going to orientate ourselves, and we're going to figure out what puzzle pieces are we needing to go next, so that we can actually then achieve the ascent that we are looking to create. Okay. So I hope this was beneficial to you. I would love to know your comments and your thoughts in the comments. What resonated with you? What has helped you? And if that is something that you think another entrepreneur friend should know about, please do me a favor and forward this episode, forward this video, tag somebody in it if you see it online. I would love to spread the word a lot faster. And I mean, one person can do so much, and I would love for you all to help me with that. All right. Have a great day. Walk it free, and see you all tomorrow.